Hi, my name is Daisy, and I recently found out that my dad isn't really my dad. You see, I moved away to college a few months back. My parents and I had always enjoyed a great relationship together. I thought I could trust them with everything, and after all, they were the people who raised and loved me. It seemed I was wrong, after all. During spring break, I decided to pay them a visit. I wanted to see them, of course, but I also had to find my birth certificate. There were a few student loans I wanted to apply for, and there were a few documents I didn't have with me. So first, everything went fine. I had dinner with my mom and dad. They were so happy I was back home, and we'd only talked on the phone during the past few months. And they gushed over me all night long, asking me about college. The next morning, they had to go to work, so I figured I'd begin searching for the documents. After all, I had nothing to do. I figured it would help us save some time. Mom had told me she'd get them for me when she came back from work, but it seemed silly to wait. After all, it was just my birth certificate and a few other papers that belonged to me. I looked around my bedroom, but of course I couldn't find it there. Mom tended to be the one to keep those kinds of documents safe, so I assumed it must be in her study. But to my surprise, I didn't find it there either. Finally, I walked into my parents' room. Perhaps she put it away in her closet years ago, or just forgot about it. I began searching through mom and dad's stuff, trying to keep everything neat. After all, I didn't want them to get annoyed with me for making a mess. Finally, I found a big box filled with all kinds of papers and began checking them out. I did, in fact, find my birth certificate in there. But there was so much more than I could have ever imagined. My dad was named as the father in my certificate, which came as no surprise, but then, beneath it, I saw what seemed like a DNA test. I frowned in confusion. Why would my parents need a DNA test at all? I read through it, and to my complete shock, it showed that my dad wasn't my dad at all. I was stunned. I grabbed the piece of paper and reread it a few more times, trying to make sense of it. I couldn't comprehend what I was staring at. It was as if the words written there were contradicting all I had ever known in my whole life. I was furious and devastated all at the same time, so I grabbed the DNA results and rushed downstairs to grab my phone. I called my mother in a huff, demanding answers. She was incredibly confused at first and asked me what I was talking about. When I managed to calm down and explain that I had found the test and knew that my dad wasn't my biological father, my mom suddenly went very quiet. Mom told me she'd come right home and we'd talk then. It didn't take her even an hour to return from work, apparently making an excuse about a doctor's appointment. I demanded that she let me know what was going on, I just looked like my dad. It was impossible that he wasn't my father. She explained to me that I indeed looked very similar to him because we were related. I asked my mom what she meant, and now I wish I'd never discovered those documents. It turns out that years back my mom cheated on my father. They were married, so even if I wasn't his daughter, I was registered automatically under his name. And who was my real father? My uncle, my dad's brother. So not only had my mom cheated on my father, she'd messed with the guy that I called my uncle all through my life. Dad forgave her, and they just decided to move on without ever telling me the truth. That means I have sisters instead of cousins, and my real father never bothered to raise me, even if he knew that I was his biological daughter. I felt so betrayed and hurt by all their lies. I think I must have screamed at my mom for hours. When my father arrived, or really my uncle, I screamed at him too. And I told them that they'd absolutely betrayed my trust and denied me my right to know the truth about my own life. I told them how I was hurt by the fact that my real father had agreed to let my uncle raise me. My mom tried to explain that they tried to do what they thought was best for me, but lying is never the right way to go. They'd stolen me the possibility of having a real relationship with my father and of being raised by my sister's side. Instead, they manipulated the situation to fit their supposedly perfect marriage. I left that very night, returning to college, my dorm. I haven't spoke to my parents since that incident, and I don't think I'll ever visit or call them again. I'm currently paying for my university fees myself, and I haven't looked back. I simply cannot trust them, and I truly believe I'm better off without them in my life. They've called me a few times, but I never pick up the phone. Thanks for watching. Have you ever felt betrayed by your family like this? Don't forget to check out other stories on the channel and subscribe.